The next MCU installment is here, and god damn it, we are back. Folks, let's jump into my review of the new film, Thunderbolts. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel today for another review. And today we're going to be reviewing the new film Thunderbolts, coming to theaters May 2nd. Well, folks, we are so back. I love all the promotional work that they've done with this film. But listen, let me be very consistent here. Cap 4, I said it felt like a brand new chapter, a turning of the page of what was going to be the MCU as we know it. Thunderbolts 100% is locked in. We are back. And there's so much I want to cover with this one. So yes, please bear with me. This is going to be a very thorough review, non-spoiler of all of my thoughts of this film. So now I have seen it twice. I have participated in some interviews with it. And I think now I have a really good assessment of this film. Now, first thing first with this film, it very much is legitimate as it was the first time I watched it. This film is raw. It's hilarious. It hits on notes that you don't expect this film to do so. Like, genuinely. Like, it's raw, hilarious. It's deeply human. And it's a bold dive into trauma, healing, and redemption. At one moment, these were so-called defective losers, disposable delinquents, and they basically rise above that and become heroes no one ever expected. It is gritty, it is emotional, it is truly unlike anything Marvel has done before. It is 100% a must-see story. It hits where it hurts, and it heals where it matters. Please check out this film. So, I'm going to dive a little bit into that. I say from the adult eyes, for the folks that, we all are going through something in the world. You're going to see parts of yourself within these characters. You're going to see your friends, your peers. You're going to see the ones that you didn't even know may be going through something, sort of suffering in silence. You're going to see that all in these characters. And it doesn't get so deep that it beats you across the head because there's tons of humor beats in there. Like, don't get it twisted. So it's a very good balance. But, it definitely takes you into the worlds of these characters in ways we have never seen before. And it's super relatable. It makes you love and appreciate them even more. And it's truly just a full fleshed out, amazing story, amazing script, well acted out performances up and down. And, the first person is Florence Pugh. I think one thing she does in this film is prove that she can lead a Marvel film. Not even a question. She is completely fantastic in this film. I think that Louis Pullman as Bob, he brings a little bit of humor, but he also brings a little bit of like the organic human side, because Bob as Bob, Robert, he's kind of like bashful at times. He's a little, you're going to recognize his character type of Bob, like really in the sense of like finding his way. And I'm going to come back to a lot of this other stuff. I'm not going to go over every character, but I thought Wyatt Russell was really good. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, wow. She is from beginning to end amazing as our villain in this film. A villain who doesn't have powers but use her manipulation and influence and thus tries to accomplish the sorts of things we'll talk about in a minute. But nonetheless, listen, top to bottom, the script, the performances, the characters, the moving the story along in terms of the greater picture for the MCU, it hits all of that. You don't have to be worried. The cinematography, I thought they did some fantastic shots with shadow work very early in the beginning. The action was good. There was definitely some good fight choreography. I think that could have been a little better at times. The stunt work was good. I mean, listen, Florence performing her own stunts right off the break. The scene that you see in the very beginning of the film, she performs that. It's mind-blowing, the stunt that she does. But I definitely think it's set a tone. And even stuff like that is metaphorical. Because, actually, to really talk about Yelena for a little bit, Yelena is really struggling with her purpose right now. And I think throughout this film, you're going to see her really battle between, pretty much trying to end it or what's next for her. And I think she's battling the past. She's battling deep depression, but ultimately, I think she plays around with the idea of like, what do I do now in life? I don't really have a path forward. The depression has grown and really consumed her at a rate that unlike any other time she's ever been in it. And it wasn't just the passing of her sister, but it's grown beyond that now. She's struggling with that. So you're going to really see that dynamic played out through her the entire time. Really quickly, another person who was not a part of any of the promotional stuff, Wendell Pierce as Congressman Gary. Wow. He makes every moment on screen very limitedly amazing. Let me just say that. Wendell is a fantastic actor. He should not be overlooked and should be mentioned in everyone's review. But just to, again, kind of go down the dilemma here, like characters are bored. They're not good with their suit jobs. They're living sort of this nostalgia of their glory days, lack of fulfillment. These are all sorts of different traits that everybody's dealing with, but also it gets deeper because depression comes about. I think even a small part of abandonment is even in there as well too. And every one of these once villains are all experiencing that. But now there's a greater threat because you have, I say she was a great villain. Valentina is basically looking to create her own superhero. The Avengers are gone and the government is after her because of this unauthorized human testing and trials. And that, as always, puts New York in threat. And who would be the ones to come to New York's rescue? It should be like everybody because everybody lives in New York. But no, it is our team, the Thunderbolts, because with everybody kind of looking for something, this brings at this rate, really, a group of folks that are definitely not on anyone's bingo's cards, much like the Suicide Squad, much like the Guardians of the Galaxy at a point of these folks, these unlikely heroes to come together to save New York and Bob. With that being said, listen, you're definitely Sentry, which we know is a character in this. Sentry's intro is very cool. How they shot Sentry, his power set and displayed it is very cool. Also, again, the shadow work, a lot of the shadow work involved with Sentry's powers is done very, very cool. I talked about the fight choreography. It was fun. It was also unique at times. And there's also just some little gag things that were really funny, like cucumber. They say cucumber like 30, like almost like 30 times, but like 3 or 4 times. And that's completely hilarious. And then some other little things I thought was like really, really cool was like comparisons to certain dynamics in there as well. Like you have sort of like Valentina, who's playing like Emperor Palpatine, to Bob, like her Vader. Seeing that dynamic in a way that we've known it to be in other mediums, and in this case Star Wars, like seeing that is like, oh, I know where this is going, you know what I mean? Bucky has his Terminator 2 moment, which is complete homage to the classic, but it's so cool to see Bucky do that in this limo chase scene that you will 100% love. When you talk about the humor, it is adult, it is dry, it is raunchy, but it works. I was laughing with it. A name I didn't bring up was David Harbour as Red Guardian. Like, he brings a certain measure of joy. Of course, he has his struggles, but his humor definitely works. It creates the balance in this film that keeps things from going so dark. But definitely, a good balance between the laughter, so the positive sides as well as the dark side. And don't get it twisted. These dark sides I keep talking about are a very important conversation that everybody should have. But ultimately seeing it with these characters, and because we like to see superhero films and kind of get away from some of the worldly stuff, I think it does make you and these characters confront things that you and them may never had to confront or may never have wanted to confront. And that's basically the art of the story, is that these characters have to confront their dark past in order to move beyond it and move on. So there's that. There's a the people that sit on the corners with the little signs that flip around, and sometimes it's the chicken. There's a meth chicken in this one. So just be prepared for that. A couple of other things. Let's talk about the ending now. The ending, I thought, especially how they nailed the ending of this film, the ending of the film proper. I thought they did such a fantastic job in leaving us on a good note that didn't go longer than it needed to or left something fulfilled, but it left on a note that was like, wow, that is how you nailed the landing. Then you have 2 credit scenes. One is definitely more promotional, but the second one, which is kind of extensive, definitely 100% connects to the greater MCU. That's why I say we're so back, because now when it was like sort of these cliffhangers where you were just kind of like, oh man, Eternals and Blade, I wonder how that's going to work. Oh, this one 100% lets you know where we're going, how it's going to connect and everything. Now, I will say this, and this is not a spoiler, I think people will be impartial about the second mid-credit scene or end-credit scene, because as exciting as it is, as much as I cheered both times, when they did the casting cheers for Avengers Doomsday, there were people that were very upset because of the names listed, which indicated potential spoilers. And I think this end credit kind of follows some of that same sort of whatever. Maybe you'll like it, maybe you won't. And also I will say in the second credit that you're going to talk about the potential threats. You're going to have a little bit of a time jump. You're going to understand some very earthly and team dynamic issues, copyright issues, shall I say. You're going to have all of that sorts of different things. So it's very, very well thought out, well planned, and it 100% puts you on path to the greater MCU, what's next, and all that other good stuff. Another thing I should mention too with Valentina and her Ops Corporation, and her obviously having the Avengers Tower, which we all know. Again, with her and sort of her understanding that the Avengers are no longer, so it's up to her to be able to make a hero that is stronger than all of the Avengers combined in order for them to protect for the greater threat out there. And we're talking about rogue nations with other technology or just anything that could be coming sort of cosmic. So like I say that to say, even the characters understand that there is definitely greater threats on the way. And if she's putting something together like that, and we know what villains are coming, I'm telling you, the power set conversations are about to get out of hand. I can't wait how that's going to go about. But yeah, with that being said, man, this was a great film, well thought out film. There was a lot of A24 promotion with this, and I think when you think about what A24 does uniquely in their storytelling, I feel like this kind of gives you that vibes. Like it feels not just like a superhero movie, but it feels like a well fleshed out movie with a good plot, good acting, good cinematography, good characters, something to eventually, building something for something else eventually to come along. In this case, you're building, this next phase of the MCU. I think they did all of that. And this was with these disposable delinquents or defective losers, you know what I mean? And the fact that all these sort of characters came from different movies, Ant-Man and the Wasp, you got Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I mean, you got Black Widow, and you're bringing them all together because they could have just easily been characters that they were just like, no, we're done with them. Like, that's it. And no, I didn't talk about one character on here, Taskmaster, because why should I talk about Taskmaster when they didn't even talk about Taskmaster? And I don't know what happened with Taskmaster and whatever bit of beef or whatever is going on with the actor, with Marvel or whatever it may be. But man, did they do Taskmaster dirty? I'm just going to say, on an average of how long is a good song, we'll say 3 to 4 minutes, Taskmaster may have something related there. That's all I'm going to say. Folks, check this one out, man. This was a great film. I told you it's going to be a little bit of an extended review, but it was worth it. It's a lot I wanted to cover with it. The fact that they just touched on so many different things. Voice being a very pivotal word in this film. Voice, because I felt like void was like a code word for like depression. They never mentioned depression, but like I feel like void, the word they use multiple times in it, I feel like that was that. And there's tons of Easter eggs, tons of references, some cameos and all that other good stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a great new installment for the MCU. So that being said, folks, bring on Doomsday, bring on Fantastic Four. I am ready. But before we get there, you want to check out Thunderbolts with an asterisk for reasons, because they definitely explain that, and you'll see. What you do, folks, jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts, your excitement for this one. And as always, stick around for more reviews and content right here at Big Cobell Media very soon. Thank you for watching, folks.